Take your questions. We have mic holders both sides of the room. Please raise your hand and wait for the microphone. We'll start standing on the right side.
Jon Cooper with the Canadian Press. Just wondering what you made of the start to tonight's game.
Well, a couple nights ago when I sat up here and if you were going to tell me something was going to top that, I would not have believed it. But that topped it. It was, I topped it because it wasn't planned. That wasn't two coaches throwing guys over saying this is happening. None of that happened. That was as organic as it gets. And it was probably, I guess 10 years of no international hockey exhaled in a minute and a half.
Left side, front row.
Jon, can you share with us how things went with Cale Makar since the morning skate and the decision with him and what the outlook is for him moving forward?
I can't say what the outlook is right now. Naturally he was close to playing in tonight's game, but ultimately a decision was made for him not to play, and those decisions are made for the benefit of the player. And this is everybody wants to play and contribute and do all these things, and trust me, he's the one that wants to do it the most. But it wasn't tonight, and so we'll see. Hopefully Monday, but there's no determination on that yet.
In the middle, fourth row.
Marco D'Amico, RG Media. We were just with Connor who said that Monday's game is basically a game 7 for him. How do you prepare as a coach for that game, and how do you feel about your troops going into it?
He's absolutely right. I mean, this is a short tournament, and this is our game 7. I'll tell you this: as a coach, this is our second game, so now we're seeing some things, and we'll look after the technical side. But it doesn't matter who you are. If it was, Scotty Bowman, name the coach. It doesn't work unless you have a team that cares. And that test we passed tonight. We have a team that cares. And the result's unfortunate, but I don't think anybody can leave that building and say that team didn't stick up for each other, care for each other, and play with a passion. And when you do have that, you're, the ceiling is limitless, what the team can do. And so, in that regard, I'm extremely proud of the guys. Now it's on us here to tweak some things and find a way to beat them.
Right side, third row.
Jon, over here. The combination of intensity and also quality play in this game, how does that rank in your career?
Well, so both teams have a whole bunch of brilliant, skilled players. And you can watch an NHL game and see shots are 45, 35, and there's chances all over the place, and it's run and gun, it can happen. But when you have this quality of players and they all check, that's why shots are 20/20. That's why there's no space, because again, it goes back to caring. And guys are doing things that they probably don't do in 82 games all the time. They're used to putting the puck in the net and getting off, and maybe doing, there's a shortcut here and there in their game, but there wasn't tonight. And that's why it's tight checking, and that's why the margin for error is razor thin. But that's the kind of hockey you get, and it's pretty impressive.
Right side, fourth row.
Yeah, Jon, Aaron Bengals, Sportsnet. Just you talk about that razor thin margin. If I told you before the game that both the Chucks would start with 5 minutes in the penalty box and be going on the power play 6 seconds later, how much would that have potentially been an advantage in your mind? What was running through your mind as those moments played out?
You're processing what just happened, and we rightfully got the power play, from what happened, and we didn't score. And it was, we had some looks, but would have been great to score, but in the end, we scored shortly after the 5-5, so, you know, we did have the 1-0 lead, whether it was that goal, it was McDavid's break or the power play, so I didn't think that really had a thing. Would have been great, of course, but, you know, they're trying to prevent us too, so it was, we had our looks, just didn't go in.
Left side, third row.
Hi, John. Jordan told us he didn't like the first goal he gave, and I think it showed weight with his reaction on the ice. How do you go about the decision making with your goalies in such in a very short tournament like this, when you see a guy might be fighting him?
I can't sit here and say he was fighting him. Jake Enza plays for me, and Bennington knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. I've seen that goal 1,000 times, and Jake Enza still finds a way to score those goals. You know, pucks have eyes for some players. It has eyes for him. Of course, you know, any goaltender is, you know, wants to have them all back, but I think he's been a little hard on himself, to be honest.
Middle back row.
John Cooper, which represent. There's so much that happened out there tonight. Is it possible one word to sum it up, or a few words to put it in a nutshell, everything that happened?
Mayhem. that was the first minute.
Standing on the left.
John, there haven't been too many fights in international hockey in the history. Ironically, Keith Tkachuk was one of them who dropped the gloves in an international game against Canada, but the brothers told us it was planned before the game. They wanted to send a message. Do you feel like the fighting and that type of fighting belongs in international hockey?
Well, this is an NHL event, so I can't sit here and classify this as, there's, you know, countries are playing each other, but it's not an IHF event, so I don't think we can put it in that category. These guys have grown up with it. This is part of our game. I didn't see, at my last look, I didn't see anybody running for the exits. So, yeah, I mean, there was people going to talk about this, and you know, obviously there's probably people out there that don't like it, but it kind of set up a heck of a game. And then when it was over, for 59 minutes, two teams battled each other as hard as they could. So, I don't know, we'll let the fans be the judge of that.
Last one, front row on the right.
John, obviously you switched things up with your lines, trying to find some offense. What do you like there with McDavid and Crosby maybe going forward, or look at it all again? And
Oh,
decide on
it's
it?
hard to say. As a coach, you know, there's some guys that, you know, I thought were earning some more ice. You know, I thought Braden Point was one of them. I thought he was outstanding out there. But it's such a short event. Again, I think we've talked about this. We don't have we don't have exhibition games. We don't have the luxury of doing that. And so, you know, unfortunately for us, we fell behind, and we weren't generating the way I thought. And I thought, you know, in the third period, we had the puck a lot, but we had the puck for about 180 feet. We couldn't get it past that extra 20 feet. And that's stuff we got to look at. But you know, there's some guys in here we're probably going to get in a little bit more. But this is what you find out in this, you know, the two games, and then got to learn from this, and maybe, you know, we'll see what happens and who plays where. But you know, we've learned a lot tonight.
Thanks, John.